Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's been a sort of fairly quiet week just to calm everything down. Probably quite needed. I'm up £2,000, a little bit more. So yeah, not too bad. It's a very, very mixed bag for the week, which I will come back to. But let's have a look at some news. So we covered this last week as a maybe. It was a 50-50 election in the Argentinian presidential race, and Javier Milei has won. So he's sort of the pro-Bitcoin, little bit of a crazy fella from the looks of it. He's been sort of coming out with some strong statements. He says he still wants to shut down the Argentinian central bank. That's non-negotiable. And he wants to dollarize the country. People are sort of saying, this means an immediate legalization of Bitcoin as legal tender. I don't think that's quite as far. He sort of made some positive comments on Bitcoin before and says it's sort of a way to give the people back, power and take control from the central bank again. But I think his main plan is to dollarize at least and sort of try and curb this runaway sort of 150% a year inflation. But we'll see if that sort of follows on with, pro sort of Bitcoin legislation at least. He won the election 56% to 44%, and Bitcoin rose sort of on the news. He says we have to understand the central bank is a scam. Bitcoin is representing the return of money to its original creator, the private sector. So yeah, I would imagine he'll be at least pro Bitcoin and sort of get some legislation in to support it, but maybe not make it sort of legal currency straight away, or certainly not the national currency like El Salvador seem to be trying to do. But probably bigger news is CZ, or Changpeng Zhao of Binance, has stepped down. The Department of Justice seem to have settled on their case against them. They will pay a $4.3 billion fine, so that's quite large. A lot of people were sort of speculating that they can't afford that and that it would take them down. I think they've probably got more money than a lot of people think, and this won't sort of harm them all that much. It's not nice, of course, but it does mean CZ has to go, and new chief executive Richard Teng is on the hot seat. People noting that he used to be a part of the World Economic Forum, so that's a bit of a surprise. And yeah, he seems like somebody the US government would be sort of happier with him in there. So they've got them on money laundering, basically. They're saying Binance has been a conduit for the flow of money linked with all sorts of horrendous things, Hamas and Al Qaeda and that sort of thing. I think that was sort of blown out of proportion and a little bit, and sort of proven to be a very, very small amount of money. But I guess they'll say any amount of money is bad, even if they are using most likely US dollar cash and other things a lot more. But yeah, CZ has agreed to step down, pay a $50 million personal fine. So I guess Binance pay the 4.3 billion, and he's pleaded guilty to failure to protect against money laundering, which I wouldn't imagine is a hell of a jail sentence. He might even just get a suspended sentence and not go at all. So yeah, people will probably see that as a win. You'd expect sort of Bitcoin would have dropped quite heavily on the news, but a lot of people seem to be sort of seeing this as a positive for the ETF approval. I believe Binance had been basically singled out as being too dominant in the previous ETF rejections. They sort of saying, market manipulation and too dominant of a position in certain exchanges. So obviously meaning Binance. So with them out the way, or with them reducing in dominance, I think it says there've been 650 million worth of outflows in the immediate aftermath. So it's not like they've gone bust, but people just don't want to have their money on there. And yeah, so you'll get sort of exchanges flowing in, funds flowing into Coinbase and people like that, I would imagine. And then, yeah, hopefully the US sort of think, well, we've got futures, we've got CME, money on there. If you've got futures ETFs, and if you potentially now have not just one, but maybe 12 spot ETFs in the US, then that is sort of not a dominant enough position for anyone. So, yeah, I think people are seeing this as sort of the last domino to fall before approving all of those spot ETFs at the same time, potentially next month. So, who knows? And I'm sure it's just pure coincidence, but at the same time, BlackRock members from BlackRock have been meeting with the SEC in person to discuss their Bitcoin ETF. They're saying this was to discuss the in-kind versus cash creation of ETF shares approach. So, how new shares of the ETF are sort of redeemed and cashed in. But yeah, this seems like if you were going to reject it, then you wouldn't be sort of asking them to come in and discuss sort of very, very fine details and then say, no, it's, you're all rejected for some reason that we haven't really covered yet. I can't imagine they would get rejected for the way shares are created. So yeah, it just seems strange to sort of go really, really into the weeds on detail and then say, well, actually, no, forget all of that. You're rejected for this other reason. So it's looking more and more likely. If it does come next month, you can probably expect a reasonable amount, reasonable move up. I've never really covered this CoinShares report before. I didn't realise this sort of collated total of all of the money flowing in and out of the exchange traded products around the world. I kind of thought this was just from CoinShares, but yeah, they do sort of cover all of the current providers that have exchange traded products. So this will get much, much larger if obviously all the providers, BlackRock and Valkyrie and everyone are approved, then I'm not even sure whether anybody will be able to sort of collate all this together. But while they're rather small, you can see sort of who's putting money into what and sort of overall as well. So you can see sort of this is by week and certainly the last sort of 4 weeks. This is most of November from the looks of it, and then sort of a little bit in October have been net inflow. So $176 million flowed into exchange traded products in the last week. So that's good. And it's been sort of 250-300 million per week. You can dig into who this money is going into. In the last week, say, it's been coming out of ProShares, but going into purpose investments. So yeah, various sort of providers. A lot of these are Canada and Europe, so it's still not obviously US funds. And by asset, you can see, so a lot of it has been, the vast majority of it has been Bitcoin, of course, on sort of ETF speculation, especially on the month and on the year for sure. But you do have Solana here, sort of fairly consistently money flowing in. It's obviously a much smaller market cap, so it doesn't need $150 million a week, $13 million, sort of considering their market cap is fine. And yeah, it's getting sort of, on the week, a lot more than Ethereum. On the month, sort of just over half of what Ethereum have been getting. And year to date, Ethereum has been negative, and Solana has been 135 million in the green. And the only other sort of things getting close to that is short Bitcoin. So obviously 1.2 billion into Bitcoin and 50 million into short Bitcoin. That could just be sort of hedging and all sorts of other things. Tron as well. People not too happy with Tron. But yeah, interesting sort of breakdown. I might sort of come back to this periodically and see how they're getting on. And you can see sort of, as I say, by country, it's going into Canadian ETFs, German ETFs, and Switzerland ETFs. But as this broadens up, So we'll get more, and obviously this could be sort of from any country. They're not wanting to put it into Canada, for example. That's just where the ETFs are located. So yeah, we'll see. So looking at the coins for the week, as I say, quite a mixed bag. Bitcoin up 2%, so that's not too bad. Solana down 5.8%, so that has provided quite a lot of the negative for the week. Obviously, Solana's not got a lot to prove at the moment. It's up about 70% on the month, so all good. It can take a little rest. Ethereum up 5.5%. That's doing pretty well. Chainlink up 5.8%, pretty good. Cardano 3.8%. XRP pretty much flat. So Power Ledger is down 9.4%. That's not surprising. It's very volatile. Polygon down 7.5%. That's not too good. Audius 2% up. Quant 2% up. Gala 10% up. That's pretty much best performing for the week. Basic Attention Token down 2.7%. VeChain up 10%. Joint top performer. And Internet Computer up 3%. So, as I say, very mixed bag, but it's a very quiet week. So, we'll have to see sort of how the rest of the year goes, sort of leading into Christmas, whether we get this ETF approval at long last. So, it'll just be nice to get some certainty, really. But, yeah, let me know how you guys are doing, if you're buying anything in the quiet periods, and like and subscribe. See you soon.